Hello and welcome to Better Business Podcast. My name is Alexei, and today I wanted to talk about getting a business to do better before you actually get it to do big. Because I get quite a lot of people telling me that they want to grow their business, they want to basically keep increasing their sales and stuff. And while growth I think is a great goal, I think you really need to be ready for it because a lot of the time, business has got quite a few gaps in it or holes, if you like. And if you start growing the whole thing, the wheels really fall off quickly. So, what's the goal of the business? Typically, business owners want to achieve that scalability rather than growth. And the difference, I guess, is that you can scale something and maintain that growth as you do it. Whereas when you just look at growth, a lot of the time people look at more leads, for example, or trying to, hire more stuff and do more jobs, which unfortunately results in business not being very profitable. Really, what you're trying to increase is, I guess, the profit, or at least maintain the scale between revenue and profit and make sure that meets your goals. Now, every business is different, and I guess the profit margins are very different as well. But I think it's important to ask yourself, what does it mean for a business to get better? What is it that you really need to focus on in order for your business to move forward and not create more problems? I think, the first thing I recommend looking at is the actual pricing of the business. When's the last time you increased your prices? And I think what I'm going to be doing in this particular episode is asking you a lot of questions that should hopefully get you thinking in the right direction. So when's the last time you increased your prices? Because, according to my observations, according to the changes in the economy and overall over the last 4 years since the start of COVID, quite a few things have gone up in price. The petrol, cost of living, insurances, salaries. There's really quite a few things going up in price. So if you haven't adjusted your pricing, potentially that's the first thing you need to do before you want to grow your business. Because what you may happen, what you may find, rather, is that once you start growing the business, these profit issues will actually start to show up on larger scale. So it's really important to start, I guess, with the numbers and understand that you're on track to grow and scale something that's already profitable, and that's not really going to create more issues. And I guess the other thing is you should probably look into bottlenecks. Is there something that you may potentially delegate? Is there a part of the business that you are doing that you shouldn't be doing, like I guess bookkeeping, or maybe marketing, or maybe even things like lead qualifying? Maybe it's a good idea to look into VA or someone who can, take calls for you and filter out a lot of the tire kickers, or maybe qualify some of the conversations a little better before you speak to them. I mean, businesses are different, but I guess, if you're a tradie, you don't really have a lot of the time to talk people on the phone while you're in the tools. And I guess if you're, running professional services where you charge in 6-minute increments, you also don't want to be spending the time talking to new people, calling and asking about your services where they aren't qualified. So, are there things that you could potentially delegate in order to free yourself to scale your business? I guess that's something you really got to start asking yourself. Another thing is really worth looking into is, what does your team look like, and what sort of team would you like to achieve? Because if you're working on your own, or you may have one or two staff or maybe contractors, if you're going to start, increasing the size of your team, things will change as well. Many businesses really struggle to get people into their business right now. And look, I get this a lot with trades right now. For example, Sparkies are really struggling to get apprenticeships. I mean, maybe 10 or 20 years ago, apprenticeship used to be a thing, and everyone wanted to become a tradie. Right now, I think things are changing. And is this a generational issue? Is this something that is changing with, I guess, people wanting to do things differently? Are there maybe not as many people wanting to do what you're offering? So it's really worth asking a few questions before you start planning for team growth and really understand where you're going to get those resources from. I mean, would it be better to look into maybe getting contractors instead of people who will be on your payroll? So I think, I'm seeing a few businesses that are really struggling to get, electricians, at $40 or $45 an hour, where those electricians are working, for themselves, probably getting double the amount of money, but working half the time. So it's the same sort of outcome. So, I think it's important to really understand what's happening in the economy, and also understand what's happening with, those resources as to how they come into the actual workforce and what their goals are. I mean, for a lot of people, traditionally, people want security. They want to be able to, buy a house, have a family, and it's all about security. I think what a lot of professions are offering right now is probably a fairly low award for um, what those individuals are actually wanting to achieve. And I think it's important to work out a plan as to how they can get there. I mean, is that even a realistic option for them? I think, there's a lot of different things to consider. There's obviously your marketing, sales, operations, and the accounting side of things in order to grow your business. But I think it's important to get the business right, or at least make it better before you're going to start pouring money into growth. I think every single business can create new opportunities out of their current list. I think that a lot of businesses can do better out of the existing marketing. I think a lot of business can do better out of their sales. And there's a lot of things that could be changed along the way to get a better result. If you want to grow, if you want to have a team, if you want to basically build a business in a particular style, you really should be looking at people and systems. If you're really wanting to sort of scale up using your own approach, yeah, it may be quite challenging. I mean, maybe you're into something that no one else has done, and I wish you all the best if that's going to work. But typically I find that a lot of people try to find people just like themselves in order to scale the business and really fail. So to avoid that, I recommend potentially putting everything into some sort of a format that you can understand and at least see what's happening and where you need help. Because if you're trying to do everything on your own, you're just going to end up working longer hours and potentially getting less money in the bank, purely because some of the things you're doing may probably be done better by people externally. I mean, that's just the reality of the world. You can't be good at everything. So what I thought would be a good idea to offer business owners to maybe set up some sort of a challenge. You hear a lot of people do challenges at the gyms where they do 6 or an 8 week challenge to lose weight or get stronger or something like that. I thought it may be a good idea to do a challenge for business owners to potentially get better customers or get more customers, and run this over the course of 6 weeks, where we're going to be sharing some tips and strategies that we know work for businesses to get new clients, and potentially get some guest speakers, other business owners that are doing quite well, business coaches, and maybe even some really cool guests who could potentially inspire you along the way as well. I know running a business can be all fun, but it can also be very lonely as well. So guys, what do you reckon about a challenge? Is that something that is going to help? If so, comment below. I will put out some info. I'm thinking maybe sometime around mid-February we'll launch something like that, but I'll definitely send out plenty of information. And I think it's important to have a little bit of a community to get a bit of a reality check on what's happening with the economy, I guess what's happening with logistics, and I guess where everything's going. Because, if you don't know what's going on, potentially you may be a little bit behind. Like right now, there is a big strike across all the ports in Australia, where they're probably operating at about 50 to 60% capacity. And as a result, a lot of things are getting delayed, which is driving up the price of those particular products. And overall, I guess, affecting the economy not in the best way. I mean, knowing things like that can help you make strategic decisions and also understand how you could work around your business and your positioning. I mean, if you run an online store and your products are getting delayed, yeah, that could be quite an issue for you as well. Anyway, I thought, it'd be a cool thing to do. I haven't done a challenge like that ever before, but I think the dynamics would be pretty straightforward. So happy to organize that. If you're interested, please comment below. Anyway, I thought some of the questions in this podcast would get you thinking towards, getting a better business. And I wish you all to be successful with what you do. Now, if you're enjoying this podcast, please make sure you share and hit that like button. That really helps us rank in Google, Spotify, Amazon, and everywhere we are. And if there's any questions or anything else, feel free to reach out. My name is Alexei. This is Better Business Podcast. I'll speak to you soon.